Hi, welcome to the video on Chapter 3, Arrangement. As you remember, we've already started our videos on the writing process. We looked very briefly at Chapter 1, which was basically talking about how writing is a struggle, and that writers over the centuries, if not the millennia, have identified the process that is most common for writers to use to create really good writing. And again, not all writers are going to use the process in the same way or even in the same order, but most of us do. And so we should rely on this process because it works most of the time for most of us. Chapter 2 was about pre-writing and the thesis statement. So we looked at how we use invention strategies like brainstorming and free writing and journaling and all of that to help get our ideas organized, get them down on paper, to really figure out what we want to say and what we can say and what we do know and what we don't know about a particular topic. And then coming up with that central idea of our essay, which is that thesis statement that makes that one sentence statement about what our narrowed topic is on the essay and then what we're going to tell our reader about it. Right. So chapter 3 is going to pick up on that, and we're going to talk about arrangement. And that basically is then how are we going to take all that information and develop it into the structure of an essay. So the first thing is recognizing patterns. Right, so you can see I have highlighted my text in my ebook just as you can. Remember, you just highlight anything that you think is important. You can click on the highlight color that you want. You can actually add a note, and then you can go up here to notebook and then see, the notes that you've made, right? So again, you can do any of that as well. Remember, up here you have your controls to control, again, how you see the text and if you want the text to be read to you, right? So again, structuring an essay is about looking at patterns of development, and there are different kinds of development patterns. Some essays require a particular development pattern like cause and effect or comparison contrast. Sometimes the pattern of development might be the arrangement of ideas like chronological or spatial. So it's really important that you look at the assignment because sometimes the assignment specifies a very particular essay, like narrative or cause and effect. Sometimes the question itself might not say cause and effect, but it will imply it, like list the reasons why this happened. Well, that's kind of cause and effect, right? So it won't say cause and effect, but it's really requiring you to do that, right? Or it might ask you to do some other kind of structure or organization. So make sure you're paying attention to that assignment. Remember, one of those first chapters that you read was understanding your assignment. This is one of the things that you're going to look for is, are there any particulars that you have to follow when it comes to organizing your information? And so here are the different patterns of organization that you might be required to use. And we're going to look at some of these this semester, and some of the others we'll look at in Comp 2. Different teachers look at different things. Like I never teach process. I never teach description. I rarely teach classification and division. Instead, we do narration, exemplification, and definition in this semester. And then I do cause and effect and comparison contrast and argumentation in Comp 2. Those are the things that I do. Other teachers will do other things, right? So again, those are specific kinds of patterns of organization where we're taking this basic structure of the essay and we're organizing information in very particular patterns, right? So here are the kind of questions that you would ask that you would then arrange the answers in particular ways. Now, so again, you can look at that. I was going to say something, but we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, so I won't skip ahead. So when we're looking at an essay, we're looking at what we call the three-part structure. So all academic essays are broken into three parts: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And within that part, we're going to have different numbers of paragraphs. Now, I won't say that you're not going to have an essay that won't have other parts. If you go into a social sciences course, they will probably use they will use the APA structure, and that has a different breakdown of parts where they have the abstract, the lit methods, the lit review, the methodology, and all of that. So it's broken down in different parts, but many other classes that don't use the APA structure still kind of look at this three-part introduction, body, and conclusion. And I would say that even the APA structure, you could still group it as intro, body, and conclusion. They just have a lot of subsections that we don't have in an MLA style essay. But here we're looking just at those three parts. And within each of those sections, you're going to have different numbers of paragraphs. Your standard essay is going to have a 1:3:1 ratio, one introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and 1 conclusion. But the longer the essay, the longer those sections might be. So you could have a long essay that might have 2 introduction paragraphs, 6 body paragraphs, and 2 conclusion paragraphs, right? So again, those can expand, but you'll never have more than 1:3:1 in this class, right? And so again, the thesis and support structure is central to college writing. If you get into a creative writing class, you're going to have different kind of writing structures. If you get into a course that uses tech writing or report writing, then that's going to have a different kind of structure. But if you're writing anything that's a thesis or an essay kind of or a paper, then you're going to have a thesis-driven structure. It'd be very rare that you wouldn't. But this is going to kind of give you that structure. You have your intro that ends at the thesis. You have the body paragraphs. Here they show 4, but again, in this class, you're only going to write 3, and then you have your conclusion.